You're not stirring up another mystery, are you? He chuckled. Nothing like that. Have you not heard of Stir-Up Sunday? Their blank looks answered his question, as his wife, Beth, went to close the front door. Oh, look, Bert's on his way, she said, leaving the door ajar. Mummy says me and Luke stir up trouble, said Mark. Is that what we're doing? James ruffled the young boy's hair. No, that's not it. If it's not a mystery, said Anne, then what is it, and why the secrecy? Anne, you really are rather too suspicious of my activities. It's simply an old custom. The last Sunday in November is the traditional day for households to make their Christmas puddings. Stirring the pudding is a ritual, and we make a wish. Someone, somewhere down the centuries, named it Stir-Up Sunday. Oi, oi, said Bert as he peered round the door. Collared the Merryweathers, have ya? James shook hands with his old friend. They had known each other since a chance meeting during a school outing, and an unlikely friendship that crossed the class system had developed between them. Beth closed the door and motioned for Bert to hand his coat over. James continued his conversation with the Merryweathers. We consider you family, so we thought it would be nice for you to be a part of it. Beth led them through to the kitchen, where the pudding awaited. Closing her eyes, Anne breathed in through her nose. I can tell what you're making without looking. It smells divine. An infusion of orange, almonds, fruit, cinnamon and brandy filled the kitchen, and the Merryweathers were quick to admire the mixture in the huge bowl. Bert pushed his flat cap back and did the same. Another Nan Harrington special? James nodded. His grandmother had so enjoyed cooking, and although in those days the family had employed a cook, the young Alice Harrington had relished the opportunity of making her own. She had jotted every successful recipe down in the now frayed book that had pride of place alongside Beth's own recipe collection. James had inherited his grandmother's love of cooking, and the villagers were used to seeing her creations feature in the many events and festivals they held. Beth reached for the brandy and poured a small drop into the mixture. Don't want it to be dry. The kitchen door swung open. Morning all, said Oliver and Harry Harrington in unison. They squatted down and made a fuss of Radley, who wagged his tail in excitement. The twins were given a warm welcome by Bert and the Merryweathers, who hadn't seen them for some months. James peered behind his sons to the hall. Is George not with you? His long-standing friend, Detective Chief Inspector George Lane, didn't normally miss out on stirring the pudding. Harry explained that George was held up at Lewes Police Station and had asked that someone make a wish for him. We're back for Christmas, said Oliver to the Merryweathers. Or rather, Harry is. I'm just off to the West Country to stay with Aunt Fiona for a while. She has a friend in their village who's allowing me to try out my teaching skills. He checked his watch. I'm being collected in an hour. The twins were on their Christmas break from Oxford. Oliver's calling was to teach, and James's sister Fiona had mentioned that a friend was happy for him to shadow her for the last week of their school term. I'll be back for Christmas, added Oliver, dipping a finger in the pudding. Beth gave him a playful slap. And I think Dad is expecting me to sort out Christmas at Harrington's, said Harry, giving James an expectant look. That's exactly what I'm expecting, and I have to say that we have our work cut out. The old estate was now a country hotel, nestling at the foot of the South Downs and making its mark on the wealthy and famous as the place to stay. James and Beth had made what had been a millstone around the family's neck a thriving business. The days of the landed gentry were gone, and they had been quick to predict it years previously. A large number of their peers had clung on to their homes with dire consequences. James was forever grateful that the family...